I can change, you can change. We can change when we're younger, we can change when we're older, we can change sooner, we can change later. It's entirely up to us. We can stay exactly the same if we want. We can have a fixed mindset or we can have a growth mindset. I've been thinking about my identity in this context for the last couple weeks now. And one, I've been thinking about it in terms of pot smoking. It was about 3 years ago that I decided I did not want to be a pot smoker. I do not want to identify as someone who smokes weed on the regular or on the daily. Number one, because I am a dad that cares. I am 50% custody, 100% dad. And I know that what a parent does in moderation is potentially what a child does in excess. And I did not want to raise my kids who are getting older at that point in time, old enough to smell it, understand what it is. And although it's legal, and although it's okay, I don't want to make weed taboo. It's not something that I wanted to identify with. I didn't want my children to identify me as someone who smokes weed. That's not the way I want to identify. And so I made that change. Also, I identify as an athlete, and I do not want to have a cough because of smoking weed. And that's something that happens to me. If I begin smoking too much weed, the first thing that you will notice, the tell, is I will start coughing. And I don't want to be that. I want to be an athlete. So I doubled down on getting in shape, doubled down on setting weed aside. Now, in the last probably 6 months or so, I've been increasing my consumption. And I've been telling myself, okay, Eric, it's time to slow it down. You've done this before, you know you can do it again. But I wasn't necessarily decreasing it enough. I'd stop and start, and I'd stop and I'd start, and I'd be giving myself a talking to, but it just wasn't taking. And so finally, I had this big event happen, which was the breakup. And I realized that I wasn't a man of his word to myself. Of course, I'm accountable, I'm dependable to other people, but I wasn't feeling as if I was that way for my own sake. And I think that is the number one source of self-esteem and confidence, and making small promises to yourself is a great way to build up your confidence and your capabilities. So in terms of talking about identity, I had this breakup. I am still absolutely in love with this woman, and I keep on thinking about what my grandpa told me. He said, Eric, do you realize how lucky you are to have a woman who loves you? Now, he said this to me, he's since passed. He said this to me when I was probably 25 years old. And I didn't understand it then. And by golly, I don't think that I understood it 4 weeks ago either. And I'm lamenting about that fact. But again, we are not too old to change. Or if you're watching this and you're younger, you're not too young to change. You can change at any point in time in your life. And so I realized that I needed to reorder the priorities. Now, for the last 12 years, I have been 50% custody and 100% dad. I haven't wondered where the time has gone because I haven't missed anything. I love my children and I take a great deal of pride, and it's part of my identity, who I am, to be a good father, a caring father. Now, a lot of that has to do with my own upbringing and my architecture in my adult life, but I realized something. How will I ever put God first if I'm not able to put a wife first? And so one of the big stumbling blocks in my relationship is I wasn't able to reorder putting my future wife first, making her the priority, not at the detriment of my kids, just the opposite actually, and I'm just realizing this in the last couple weeks. No, it would have been to their benefit for me to show them how a man treats a woman. And so I'm talking about identity in this video, and I'm realizing that it's not too late. it's not too late to make these changes. Now, I don't know when or how it'll help me making it now. Fingers crossed, it helps me sooner than later. But I just wanted to share that. This all in the name of the Quit Weed Journal. That's the whole point of this channel, is to go on different quits in different seasons of my life and then document that to you. The main important thing in this 30-day quit is to emphasize that making a small promise to oneself and keeping that promise and becoming a man or a person or a woman of their word is going to build up confidence, is going to build up self-esteem. Also within this 30-day quit is me confessing I've been struggling with the weed in the past 6 months or so, quietly to myself, not secretively, but it's something that I've said to myself that I'm gonna quit doing, and then I haven't quit doing it. And so I just kind of want to nip it in the bud, prove to myself that I can once again, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here. So I want to thank you for watching this video. Again, the Quit Weed Journal is something that I'm proud of. I'm going to be returning to this throughout who knows how long, but YouTube is here to stay, and so am I. I can change. I continue to adapt, and I continue to evolve, and I continue to transform and grow. And I hope that if you're watching this, you think that you can too. I know that you can. And I want to conclude with this little analogy. I want you to think about a well-trodden path. Let's say this well-trodden path is in your yard, and you've walked over this path. It's from the driveway to the house, and you've walked on this path so many times it's well-trodden. And you try to plant a rose bush there, and it doesn't take. And why doesn't it take? Because you've always just walked on it. It's a well-trodden path. It's a fixed mindset. It hasn't changed at all. And what it takes is a lot of effort up front to make that ground fertile and soft. And you got to get the rototiller out, and you're on that. And at first, you know how it goes. It's like, and you're not really breaking that much ground, maybe a little bit, but it's nothing that you can plant a rose bush on. And you have to continue to go over it, and it's difficult and it's hard, and you got to hold on to the machine, and it takes some time before that ground gets soft and that ground gets lush enough that you can plant a rose bush and it'll grow. Whereas weeds will grow on that well-trodden path. In fact, I could pave or cement that well-trodden path and weeds would still grow on it. And I want you to think about where you are with your weed habit. And are you growing weeds, or are you growing roses? And if you're only growing weeds and it's just this well-trodden path and you want to change, just want to give you the encouragement and tell you that it's possible and that you can. Might be difficult for some of you. Maybe for some of you it won't be as hard. Personally, I have found this weed quit much, much easier than previous ones. And so I'm happy about that, because I have rototilled this well-trodden path before, and it didn't take as much time as it has taken in the path to break that ground and get that soil to be good, working, and fertile for a rose. All right, this is the No Weed Journal. My name is Eric Walker. I hope that you leave a comment. I love the comments. I like rapping with you guys in the comments. If you want to subscribe, that's great. I'm approaching 500 subscribers, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Also, you can always text me if you want to have more of a personal conversation. I'm at 269-389-9801. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening.